White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller gave a unique proposal during another one of his passionate cable news guest appearances.
While on Newsmax, Miller responded to Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse's suggestion that the White House should be fined over the deportation of Kilar Abrega Garcia.
Here's Miller on Friday.
Where does our whole country go to get repaid for all of the wealth, all of the prosperity and security that has been stolen from us by decades of uncontrolled illegal mass migration? Because we all deserve reparations for what has been stolen from us.
Jake Beckett of venture capital firm New Founding responded to Miller's suggestion on X, writing, "A tough question for the administration. Who is stopping Stephen Miller from doing what needs to be done?"
Meanwhile, reporter for Daily Kos, Oliver Willis, also weighed in, writing, Caroline Levitt and Stephen Miller especially seem to be from the school of, if I shout real loud, that can overrule anything, even the laws of physics.
So I can't imagine, Bofta, that you're pretty enthusiastic about the idea of reparations for, I guess, for all Americans for the ill effects of mass migration?
I think it's a lot right now to start adding this into the conversation. I think before we even go there, I think we actually have to talk about Abrego Garcia. And I feel like it's jumping the gun a bit because he's still abroad, he's still in prison. He's still not with his family, and I just feel like we're jumping the gun.
Is this really a winning issue for Democrats? Look, I have made my position, I think, perfectly clear. I think he should be brought back to this country and then deported elsewhere. That was the legal order, that he should not be deported specifically to El Salvador. I understand the conservative position is that, well, he's from El Salvador. He has now been returned to his home country. I think the Trump administration would be able to set those of us who have civil liberties concerns a little bit more at ease if they just got him back and then deported him elsewhere, because my fear is the argument they're using is that, well, he's outside the country, so we have no power over it, could be applied to just about anyone. What if they put an American citizen on a plane and send them somewhere else and say, well, we can't do anything about it, not in the United States anymore? That is very troubling to me, so they should get him back. I do not contest at all the government's argument that he is a member of MS-13, which is a terrorist designated gang.
A judge has not said that. That's been in the court of public opinion. A judge has not said.
It's not in the court of opinion. That's not
the judge.
True. We discussed this yesterday.
Yeah,
the judge did.
And we're going to disagree on it, and we can agree to disagree. But a judge has not said he's linked to MS-13.
Right. The government made that case, and the judge agreed with the determination. This is going back to the 2019 case when he was initially picked up along with a bunch of other members of MS-13 wearing the clothing that MS-13 members wear.
He has not been charged with anything.
Well, he's not. He's being right. He's not been charged. He's not charged of a crime. He's being deported. It was a deportation action.
Right.
And then he claimed asylum status because the rival gang would kill him if he was moved. So if you don't buy that he's a part of the
order of
gang,
all of that, I would
maybe
disagree. We'll disagree on the order of all of that. The MS-13 came out. Trump trying
I don't know why
justify,
we need to
but okay.
We don't need to give him sainthood. This is starting to remind me of like George Floyd, where it's like, he's the greatest human being who ever lived.
Okay, so different topic.
That doesn't mean the government was right to kill him, but you don't have to. Whether the government's actions are correct or not does not depend on the moral goodness of the human being.
Not talking about moral
Kilar Abrega Garcia has been accused. By the way, his wife got a restraining order against him one time because she was afraid of that he would engage in violence against her. So none of that matters to me for whether the Trump administration should return him.
He's under protected status. Let's look at facts. He's under protected status. So standard would be to bring him back here and reopen the case. He can then go through a lawyer, have a lawyer argue his case, and then a judge decide. That would be standard procedure. Right.
But we already did that.
I'm saying, what?
We already did that, and the judge said you can deport him, just not to El Salvador. The only mistake was made is that he was deported to the wrong location. He was eligible, he was ruled by a judge eligible for deportation except to El Salvador. So this argument that I again with due process.
And I'm not putting on sainthood.
I support due process. He was subjected to due process. The government made a mistake in the end, a mistake I agree that they should correct, but the end result of this process will not be him remaining in the U.S. because he has no business being here because he is demonstrably a member of MS-13.
Right. Under protected status, all I'm saying is that he should be brought here and a case reopened. And you're disagreeing with that, and we'll agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree. Also, let's go back to the original piece of this conversation. I think that reparations, and here's what I am for, I think reparations can come in different ways. Some people always align it with money, but it can also come in educational opportunities. So if the government is found wrong, let's say in this case, right, there should be some type of compensation, I do believe, given to him or his family for what they've suffered. A 5-year-old child with autism watched his father be detained suddenly while he was just sitting in the car. I mean, I just think that the trauma I'm just saying.
He's in the country illegally.
He's on a protected status. So once you're under protected status, that's what it's called, protected status.
Protected status from being deported to El Salvador, but not from being deported more generally.
Reopen the case.
Look, would you?
Again, we're not gonna agree.
I mean, the argument for what Stephen Miller was proposing there was reparations for the victims of illegal immigration, who are conservatives often point out are forgotten in this, not just people who, I mean, people
I know
who
what he was saying.
very,
right.
Actually had family members killed by illegal immigrants. Now, I don't think illegal immigrants are responsible for, most of the crime we see in this country, and sometimes it's a little bit of a red herring to say that, if we just got rid of the illegal immigrants, we wouldn't have a crime problem. That would not be the case. Let me assure everyone of that.
And then where does it stop? I mean, if you start to do that, where does it stop?
Well, conservatives would say it stops with deporting all the illegal immigrants because they're illegal.
Right, but then you could go into, what about other crimes and things that people do legally here? Is every victim then going to get compensation too? I'm just saying we're
right. I'm not
forgetting
that. I am for deporting all illegal immigrants who committed other crimes or who are members of terrorist-associated gangs, MS-13, Tren de Aragua. They should be deported. I think that's a good place to start. We have a limited number of police resources, and yes, there needs to be procedures to make sure this is not exercised against American citizens, but there is clearly political will to do that. That's what the American people voted Trump back in to do. It's his highest approval rating is on immigration. There is a desire among American citizens to reduce the illegal immigrant population. Let's certainly prioritize those who have committed other crimes, I would say, and those who are part of
I think a lot
terrorist
of Americans
gangs, right?
want a slowdown of how many illegals are in our country. I think
Right.
that there's a lot of Americans who do feel that way and feel like you might be taking jobs, which that could be argued, jobs that other Americans
I don't
want,
care about that.
I
don't care about that. Nobody's entitled to a job. Our viewers know I don't care about the economic arguments, whatever. I bring more people in for that reason, but violent criminals, gone.
Well, right, and I think there's a lot. But when you start to get into the reparations, I think that's what I'm saying. I think that you're just opening a bag up, and I just think that, then you're going to have to create laws around it. I don't agree with it, but I was referring to, on the flip side of it, Abrega Garcia and what he's going through. So, I don't know.
Next up, Donald Trump's approval rating on the economy has taken a dip. We'll get into that. More Rising right after this.